In this video, we're going to talk about the Follow Me tool, and I'm going to show you how it works in its basic function in this video, and then in the following video, I'm going to show you how to use that to apply some more functional things like crown molding or a banister in your actual model. So the Follow Me tool is a really useful tool that's basically allows you to extrude a shape, a flat shape along a path, and it works in a very specific way. And it's going to involve a few steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a path. So I'm going to use a series of arcs just along the ground, just to give myself some sort of path to follow. Okay, so I've got my path here. Now what I need to do is I need to create a shape. In fact, I'm just going to, to finish this off, I'm just going to bring this line straight along the green axis and snap it to this point so that I've got a straight run to start from. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a polygon in space. You'll notice that I've made this separately. Separate from the path, and it's not touching the path. You'll also notice that I have yet to group either of these items. If I was doing this when I had a lot of stuff on my model, I would group these right away, but because I'm doing this in its own file out in space, I'm not grouping. And the reason I'm not grouping is because neither the path nor the shape that's following the path can be grouped in order for the Follow Me tool to work, because the Follow Me tool will not recognize either of the other, like the Follow Me tool will not recognize the path if it's grouped and the shape is not, or the shape is grouped as well. So instead of just talking about it, let me just continue to finish this up and show you exactly what I mean. What I'm doing now is I'm moving this shape so that it's right along the face of that path and popping it to that. So you see what I've done is I've put the center of the face on the edge of the line of that path. It has to be touching, or it has to be right on the same plane as this line in order for this to work. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select by triple clicking on the path itself, and then the very next step I do is I go to the Follow Me tool, which looks like this, and I click on the Follow Me tool, and then I just click once on the path, and once on the shape, I'm sorry. And now, so what that's done is that has extruded the shape to follow the path all the way around. Now what I would do is I would go ahead and group it and move it out of the way, and that path is still there. So now I can take the path and I can delete it. Let me show you another example of this. Let's say I have a shape like this. I'm just going to use a rectangle here to start a shape. I'm going to group it, and I'm going to pull it up into place. Now I'm going to delete this face because I don't need it. So I've basically just given myself a rectangle up in space. Now I'm going to use my freehand tool to create kind of an organic looking shape like that. I'm going to select this extra stuff that I don't need and delete it. So this is grouped now. Now what I want this to do is I want this to follow a circular path all the way around. So I've created a radial path that this is going to follow. So I'm going to get my circle tool and start from the center point of this. And I'm going to make sure that it's along the blue axis, so I'm going to hold shift down when I do this. And I'm going to draw a circle. Doesn't matter how big the circle is, so long as the edge of the circle is not touching the edge of this. I'm going to delete this face. Now I can go in, open this up. I should probably get rid of that piece and close it. Now what I'll do is I'm going to delete this. So, I'm going to explode this. So I've exploded the shape that needs to follow the path. Note that both of these are now no longer grouped. They can't be grouped in order for this to work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the path selected, and I'm going to go to my Follow Me tool, click on the Follow Me tool once, and just click on the face that I want to follow that path. And notice it's a one-click gesture. It goes right away. So it's followed the path of that. This is also how you would make a sphere. Let me go ahead and delete this. Or I'll just actually instead just move on. So again, I'm going to start with a rectangle, group it, pull it up into space, and then delete it. I'm just doing this because sometimes it's easier to start with a solid and then delete the faces you don't need. Now I'm going to go with my perfect half circle arc, start from the center here, and draw a perfect half circle all the way around the edge. Now I can delete everything I don't need. Go ahead and close that. Take my circle tool, start from the center, holding shift down so that the blue is active, and draw a circle around it. Delete that center face. Now I've got a path, so the path is the circle, and I've got a shape, which is the half circle. And I'm going to explode this, select the path, go to my follow me tool, and click once on that. And you'll notice that now I've got a perfect, fragmented sphere. So I can make a group out of that. So we've kind of seen the very, very basics of follow me. Let's take a look at how these will work in a practical setting. But before we do that, let me just show you one example of what's not going to work. If I have my path like that, and then I have a shape that I want to use to follow it. So let's just use a standard rectangle here. So I'm grouping that, pulling it up, and deleting this. Now let's go ahead and explode this. Now let's say I take my my shape and all of its pieces over to this path, and I touch the path like that. Now they're touching. The edges are touching. Not the face to the path, it's the actual edges to the path. What happens now is if I try to select my path by double clicking on it, it's going to select the entire thing. So that's not gonna work because it's now become a part of this. So what I need to do before I do that is I need to actually take this path, take this shape, and move it so that it's touching the path along its face instead. And sometimes you have to kind of maneuver around to get the right view to do this. And sometimes it's not very easy. But notice I'm just going to get nice and close. There we go. So now I'm touching that path. Now I can select the path itself, and then get my follow me tool active, and click on the face. And in this case I'm going to get some weird intersections because the shape that I had following that path was a little too large, so it's going to start kind of overlapping itself and coming in on itself at certain points. So let's look at how this works practically in an actual space.